It's Saturday! It's the Saturday after Christmas. The turkey is done. The leftovers have been sandwiched, boiled, minced, stewed before being thrown in the bin where they belong. And you're back to eating your regular food. But not only is it Saturday, it is 9 o'clock. Yes, it's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Hello, people. I hope you've all recovered from the festivities. I can imagine there's lots and lots of bottles of Gaviscon being drunk over the last few days. I've had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and now it's back to business. Yes, we have got the top 10 countdown of the tricks of 2023. If you saw last week, I counted down from 25, but we've got some new entries. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And one from the big man himself. Yes, it's Prism Plus by Joshua J. Josh released Prism originally over 10 years ago, I think. It's his colour changing deck routine, and there's only really one big major change with Prism Plus over Prism. So if you've already got Prism, don't worry too much. But the cards are different. The cards are sort of specially printed now by Joshua's team, I believe, rather than Card Shark as they were originally. I can't actually show you them because I've sold this particular one, so I don't want to open it and show you, but the cards are beautiful. Take it from me, they are really, really well printed, well designed, and very, very clever. I'll come back to everything you can do with the cards in a minute. If you don't know the routine, it is a colour changing deck routine with a bit of a kicker in the fact that most colour changing decks go from a red deck to a blue deck or vice versa. This one goes to a rainbow deck. Now you can obviously do many deck changing routines with a rainbow deck, and I suggest you probably do if you're willing to carry around the extra deck, because for some reason I feel it kind of gives the impression that each card has been changed individually as opposed to just a deck switch, if that makes any sense. But with this routine you get more than just the colour changing deck. Josh's Prism Plus routine starts with him removing a red backed deck of cards from a red box. He then mixes them fairly face up and face down a la Triumph before producing the aces. For the final ace, it is revealed that all of the cards have now turned face up, apart from one card, and that's the final ace, which is also placed into the spectators' hands. It is then revealed that all of the cards backs have changed into the Prism deck rainbow deck, and then the aces in the spectators' hands are turned over and they have also changed backs. It is a super, super powerful routine in itself. The colour changing deck is very, very venerable, very entertaining. It's not really anything that the layman ever expects to see. And because of the design of the cards and how bright they are, it really, really does hit hard. The 4-ace production is great. The Triumph effect bit is really good as well. And then you've got the fact that the cards inside the spectators' hands have also changed colour is a really, really strong, powerful moment. Prism deck is going to be a closer to any card routine. It's not going to be something you mix in, but you can just do it as a standalone routine if you wish. The tutorial is an hour long. It starts with Josh doing the studio performance of the Prism effect, and then it goes into the teaching. And the teaching is just Josh on his own. There are plenty of shots of his crotch sprinkled throughout, and it starts off with him teaching a few tricks you can begin with. One of those effects is Eddie Fletcher's Be Honest, What Is It? And that is a brilliant effect. If you don't know it, you really should. And Josh teaches it not too thoroughly. It's not overly explained. It's not really part of the Prism tutorial, if you know what I mean. It is simply, he's just saying that this is one of the tricks that you can do before starting off. It is explained in Eddie's book called Fechter by Jerry Metzer, and this book is wonderful. If you don't know who Eddie Fechter was, he was a barman Forks Hotel. It's where the 4Fs convention was started. Eddie started that, and this is full of dynamite magic. That's not difficult to do, but really hits home. It's out of print now, but if you do get hold of one, it's not one of those books that's escalated ridiculously in price. So if you do see one, you should be able to get it for a reasonable price. And in here is some dynamite stuff for sure. But then Josh is on to the Prism Plus routine, and that he does teach in its entirety with all of the subtleties and everything that you need to do it. The trick is actually based on a Terry LeGould trick called The Man from New York, which was in Pasteboard's Presentation from 1992. It's another book. It's out of print, and I think that one has got quite expensive. And it's quite a simple routine. It's a very nice way of giving the illusion that you're showing all of the backs, that you're really emphasizing that it's a red deck of cards. And as Joshua points out, they've come from a red box. I keep seeing red backs throughout, and everyone will tell you that that is how to really sell a color changing deck. If you don't draw too much attention to it, you don't really mention it, but they just keep seeing it, and it just gets thrusted into their head that it's a red deck, and they feel like they have seen every card. They've seen like the back of lots and lots of cards. It's a very clever bit of thinking by Terry LeGould, who just did the 4-ace routine. He didn't do the color changing deck at the end. It's not a self-working routine, but it is easy to do, well within the realms of the hobbyist. There is a faro involved, but it's an imperfect faro. As long as you can mash the cards together, keeping the top and bottom in the right place, you'll be fine. How the middle cards interweave is not important, so please don't worry about that. And it's a fairly simple ace production. There's a slip cut. There's the Frank Thompson false cut that Joshua teaches very well, very clearly. It's actually printed in Frank Thompson's book Subtle Card Miracles from 1973. If you want to go back and read the original. Probably the hardest move is a sort of jinx switch for the aces that are in the spectator's hands, but that just takes a little bit of practice. And with a little bit of pre-prep of a card, Joshua explains just how easy it is. It's also done on an offbeat. Not surprisingly enough, Joshua has worked this trick a lot over the last 10 years, and probably for a few years before, where he just understands exactly how the trick works, how it flows, where the offbeats are, when you should be doing anything slightly dirty. So the move is completely covered. Now, these cards are capable of a lot more than just the Prism routine. The backs have been thought out to let your imagination run wild. So they are reader backs, so they are marked so that you can do some mentalism routines if you like, or some matching routines. It's entirely up to you. The back, some of the backs have cities on if you want to do a prediction, a mind reading, drawing prediction, and some can be used for forcing cards as well. It's a very interesting deck of cards. If you want to use it for more than just the Prism, that you can. And so that is why it's really nice. It's because you can carry one deck around and do multiple effects with it. And the cards are beautiful. I do wish I could show them to you. But the thing that makes it more than just Prism is the little additional gimmick, which is in here. And that is this special card here. And this gimmick is very simple. It's from Nicholas Lawrence, helped Joshua with it. And it makes that visual change so that the color changing deck, instead of having to sort of do some color change to start off with, it's just a little flick of the wrist and the top card changes and all of the cards below change. It's a really nice addition to this routine. This card rides along in the deck throughout the effects. It's hidden in plain sight and it is easily repairable. You don't have to worry about putting on some specs and getting the nitty gritty and doing threads or magnets or dental dam or anything like that. It is a much easier, much simple gimmick, and it's all it needs to be. It hasn't been overthought. It's just been simplified. And that really does make that deck change very visual indeed. If you just do the Prism Plus routine, you have got lots and lots of visuals, lots and lots of surprises, lots and lots of moments of magic involved in what is probably 3 minutes. If you do as Joshua does, you can add a few things to it. You have got a 6 to 8 minute routine packed within one deck of cards. Now, before I go any further, I forgot to mention, you will want a deck of Phoenix cards to go with this. That is because the aces of the Prism deck have the aces of the Phoenix deck. And you probably want to add one extra Phoenix card to it. Of course, if you don't want to go down the Phoenix route and you've got several colours of bicycle cards, you can swap the aces for those as well, and then just use some aces from a normal bicycle deck. It's up to you. If you've got cohorts or whatever, you can do that, but you do need to have the aces of different colours as well. Joshua likes to end his Prism Plus routine with his Phantom deck, which is like a clear deck of cards. It's all the sort of cards there. That is a really nice way to round it off. It is pretty, but I've always had problems with the Phantom deck in the fact that it always seems to get dirty, get scratched and look scruffy very, very quickly, almost instantly after you take it out of the box. But it is a very nice way to end the routine. Next up, it's Matthew Wright. Yes, he's back. And this time, it's the Card Under Anywhere wallet. This wallet is terrific. This is the wallet. It's nice. It's leather. It's got a great smell. You get some envelopes as well, which I'll explain about later. And you get this wallet. It's just quite a stiff wallet. You can use it, all these functions for cards and everything else. So you can use it for your everyday wallet if you like. As with all of Matthew's stuff, the design of this wallet and the load is very, very simple, and as is the design of the envelopes as well. And that means that you can probably find similar envelopes. These are well made, sturdy. They're not thin paper envelopes by any stretch of the imagination. So they will last a long time, and you're not really giving these out to the spectator. You're taking the card out of these. Usually the main effect that Matthew teaches is you have a card selected and signed. It gets lost in the deck and then appears under the wallet. So you offer to repeat it again. Now everyone knows what's going to happen, and lo and behold, it appears back under the wallet. You then do it for 1/3 time under quite testing conditions. You lift the wallet up. It's not under the wallet, but you open the wallet, and inside there is an envelope. You pull out the envelope, and inside the envelope, paper clipped to your business card, is their chosen, signed, selected card. So it's a combination of, it's a couple of phases of card under wallet with a card to wallet as well. And it is really, really nice routine. It's a really, really versatile routine. This wallet that Matthew has obviously been working with this for a very long time. I can't remember when he first brought it out. And he teaches various routines as to whether or not you've just got one spectator you can have 3 cards chosen. You can do it in their hand, standing up. He teaches several routines, which I'll break them down in a minute. But the load of the wallet is really clean, really easy. It's a no palm style load, and it's aided really by these envelopes and that go inside, and the paperclip is slightly essential as well. You don't need the envelope if you don't want to. It's up to you. The envelope cannot be examined. So unlike with the JOL wallet and the Bonzolopes and the TCC wallet, you can't take the envelope out. You can't have them open the envelope. That's all done by you, but it's really, really powerful. Not really sure the envelope, I mean, having it paper clipped, I do like the addition of it. Having paper clipped to your business card feels like you've done more that just slipped into your wallet. It feels, and it makes it more impossible. I do like that as a touch. Even though it helps with the method, it also makes the effect stronger. Now, you've probably heard me bang on about this before, but Matthew's tutorials are absolute gold. And the tutorial for this is over an hour. It's about an hour and a half, and a lot of it is Matthew talking about the motivation as well as the move. So he runs through the routine and then explains where to do the move, how to do the move, and then he sort of breaks down the move as well. The scariest part of this routine is gonna be the first loading of the card under the wallet, and that is done in the traditional way of the card under the box or the card under the glass, in the fact that you're moving something out of the way and loading the card at the same time as you're doing something else. And Matthew runs through the mechanics of it, but he also runs through the motivation of it and the timing of it and the psychological subtleties of it. Everything that Matthew does, he tries to teach you the rhythm and the timing so that it all works and it all flows and you'll get away with it. He also points out that if you don't get away with the first one, it's not the end of the world. If you're doing it with a crowd, you might have someone standing right next to the load. They might see it, but often not. And generally speaking, they won't. I say often, very rarely will they, I feel, because sometimes when it's under your nose, it's harder to see because your focus is elsewhere. But Matthew runs through how to handle that, what to say. He just covers everything. It's impossible for me to explain almost everything that's on this tutorial. It is, he doesn't go too deep into it. He doesn't get very anal about the psychological subtleties of it all, but it's all in there of how to perform this routine. So you've got the first move, you've then got the motivation for the second load as well, and then you've got the card inside the wallet and the timing of that on the offbeat, as ever, brilliantly taught. And the load is very quick, very easy, and you also get to see a full performance, live, real world, outside performance of Matthew performing it, which is really, really helpful. After he gives you that after he's taught it to you, so you can really see what's going on. That's a really nice way round of doing it, rather than showing you first when you're not sure what you should be looking at or getting as much from it. Having been taught the routine and then watching the routine, you know what to look for, and it sort of sinks in really well. He then teaches a 3-card selection version, which is very similar to just the 1 card. 3 cards, a bit easier because you don't have to keep on using the same card. A very nice subtlety of asking for the first person for their card back, even though you've already loaded it. Very sneaky, very cunning. And again, you get another full performance after a very thorough tutorial. And then finally, you have the in the hand version. Matthew doesn't shy away from acknowledging that that is quite scary, and he demonstrates where to put the wallet in people's hands. He gets you to put it in your hand and to experiment with where it doesn't feel like there's a card there. He talks about different ways of holding the wallet as well. So he does teach about this audience management, and that audience management is something that often you get from experience, often you get from being quite your gravitas or your persona as well. But don't be scared. If you see that someone's looking at it and looking tempted, you can just touch to make sure they don't turn it over. You can ask them not to turn it over if you want. Nothing to be scared of, and you'll develop better audience management just as your experience grows. But he accepts that that is not something everybody has necessarily yet. So he helps you with that. And finally, as a very interesting bonus, tossed in for nothing, you get over an hour's tutorial of Matthew and Harry Robson talking about the reputation maker routine. The reputation maker routine is think of a card, which was a routine which was popularized by Joe Riding. It was Joe Riding's signature trick. He was amazing at it. And it's where you just show the face of the card, you ask someone to think of it, and then you either name it or you produce it from somewhere to show that you knew that that was their card all along. And there are many, many subtleties to it. And what is really nice about this, it's one of those tricks that people don't think they can do. You've just got to try it. And what they teach you is ways of making sure you're pretty much guaranteed of getting a hit. It's a great bonus, really should be released on its own, quite frankly. And that is Card Under Anywhere by Matthew Wright. And now it's time for the start of the top 10 countdown of the best tricks of 2023. 23. And number 10 is Memory Aid by Chris Rawlins. And number 9 is On Edge by Angelo Carbone. And number 8 is another entry by Chris Rawlins with Hide a Key. At number 7, it's Nemesis Deck by Nick Lecapo. And at number 6, it's Leviosa by João Miranda and Julio Montoro. Oh, it's hottening up to the top 5 already. But it's time for a new entry. It's Chop Shop by John Bannon. This is one of those packet tricks that is so much fun. If you really need to sort of lure in your participants, really hook them in. It's one of those nice effects where you tell the audience exactly what you're going to do and then fool them anyway. You show that you've got some jokers and the Queen of Spades, and the Queen of Spades has a red back. You put the Queen in your pocket, and then, despite the spectators watching, you show that the Queen has returned to the packet. You then put it back in your pocket a second time and say you're going to do it with them really looking close. You then show that you've now got a card with look written on the back. You put that in your pocket and you show that the Queen has indeed returned. And you then show that you never actually had the jokers. It's not the Queen. You show that you've now got the 4 aces. There is a lot going on, really. It's a great little packet trick that's a joy to perform. And other than Alex Helmsley, only John Bannon can show just how powerful the ghost count is. And that is all that is involved with this trick. It is Alex Helmsley's ghost count plus the cards, which are not gimmicked. The tutorial style, well, let me show you what you get. So what you get here are all of the cards that you need. Now you get the jokers and you get the look card that is printed. I kind of appreciate that it's printed because my handwriting is awful and no one really cares. It looks very much like you could have written it at first glance, and that's really all the spectators are doing it. This is a great comedy moment, this card. If you build up people really looking at you saying like burn my hands and say that you're going to need a bit of misdirection, it gets a good laugh, believe me, if you play it right. The video tutorial starts with John Bannon's performance of it, then you have Eric Tate's performance of it, and then you have a 15-minute tutorial with John showing it to Eric and teaching him through it, and just sort of mentioning about the subtleties, things you might be worried about, and obviously running through Alex Helmsley's ghost count. Now, the ghost count is something that you really should be able to do. It opens up a whole world of magic tricks, certainly if you read Paul Gordon or Nick Tross or indeed John Bannon. And it's taught really well by John. You start off doing it with 7 cards, which is quite a bulky packet, but it gets less as the trick goes on and it gets easier. But it's not that difficult with 7 cards. It doesn't make that much of a difference, I found. And because it's just the one slide, it's very easy to do, to remember, to reset. Everything just works with you just doing the one thing repeatedly. And so you can really have some fun with it, and it is a joy to perform. But don't underestimate the power of the card reappearing, especially with a different coloured back, and also that look card appearing. For the layperson, it really is very strong, and no one sees the 4-ace denouement at the end, and that's really nice. And then you end nice and clean. It's just the 4 aces on the table. It is a great resolution to the trick. It's a really powerful effect that gets a lot of bang for your buck. The only real thing to say about it is that it is in John's book Lucky. So Chop Shop is $15.99 with the video tutorial and the cards, but Lucky is $19.99, has lots of other effects in it as well. And it's up to you, really. But if you just got to be honest with yourself. If you're not the sort of person who wants to read the instructions in a book, if you're not the sort of person to go and find a yellow backed card, if you don't want to start mixing your old decks to put this together, then that is fair enough. And there's no shame in that at all. And there is an old saying that if you want to hide something, publish it in a book. So what is the harm of someone making it a highlight and releasing it on its own? It's a great trick, well taught, that comes ready to go out of the box. It is Chop Shop by John Bannon. I'm going to sneak in one more new entry before the final top 5 countdown. It's Paddle King by TCC. This really surprised me. I thought that Richard Sanders and Leo Smex's Turbo Stick had put anyone else producing a paddle routine out of the window, but TCC have proved me wrong. I wasn't going to get this in because I thought, well, everyone's going to be doing Turbo Stick. Who wants another paddle routine? What can compare? Well, I think this really does elevate the paddle. Get it in this nice sort of, I think it's a faux leather wallet. This is the paddle. It's got a mirror on one side. It's got little notches for the bands. So what you get inside here, you get a little pocket with some elastic bands as well, and you get an insert for the other side of the paddle. So this is magnetized as well. And the routine that I really liked is done with coins. You put 3 elastic bands around the paddle and you put a coin under each one, and every time you add a coin, and the coin appears on the opposite side. You do that until you've got all 3 coins, showing that you've got 6 coins. You then pull them off, and then you show that you've now got a banknote. It's a great routine, and you can borrow the coins provided they're not too big. But it also comes with a disappearing mirror routine, but it's also possible with the right marker to write on the mirror as well. So you can do the classic paddle with the lines or the crosses, whichever you prefer. It's great. It's nicely made. It looks and handles brilliantly. It's got a little indicator here. They've really thought it through. It's a very versatile paddle indeed. The tutorial is subtitled, but it's super clear, and they teach other moves other than straight paddle moves as well. So you get a real thorough grounding in how to use a paddle, which if you've already got a paddle, that could add something to your repertoire and make you jazz with it a bit better. I really like it, and it's just $19.99. That is Paddle King by TCC. It's time for the top 5 tricks of 2023. Here we go. At number 5 is Brass Buttons by Matthew Wright and Mark Southworth. At number 4 is Demi-Deck by Angelo Carbone. At number 3 it's Profile by David Jonathan and Nicholas Malvarez. Number 2, it's Mini Book Pro by Noel Qualter and Roddy McGee of Trick Trick Boom. Oh, that was a tough list down to number 2. Believe me. Brass Buttons was really well produced, had a great tutorial from multiple people as well, and really elevated that classic copper, silver, brass routine and gimmick, and I just loved it. If you go back and see the review, you'll know just how much I did like it. Number 4 was Demi-Deck. That's here. Demi-Deck's back in stock, by the way. If you didn't get it a few months ago, it's now back in stock. Simply brilliant, inventive, ingenious thinking by Angelo Carbone. But what else would we expect from Angelo? Number 3 was Profile. Profile was so good. So much fun to perform. And so versatile as well, and really nice that you can manipulate the questions to your setting or your age group or anything like that. Mini Book Pro, that was so close to being number 1. I hope it's tricky because I do know Noel and Roddy, and I kind of think that might have been a negative, perhaps not wanting to make it number 1 because I knew them. But I think just because it required refills, I think, was probably the thing that didn't make it. But it is a really, really powerful trick. But it's now time for number one. In at number one, it's Grandma's Miracle by TCC. Yes, what a surprise this was. It is a really, really powerful effect. It almost wasn't number one because obviously it was based on Grandma's necklace. It's based on a very old trick. They've just remodernized it and everything else. But the props are lovely. They recognized how powerful the trick was, and they recognized that it could be elevated from shoelaces and nasty wooden beads. And it is the strength of the trick, the in the hands moment of them being left holding the beads. It's just brilliant. It's really, really easy to do. And it's not cards, and it's something different. So there you have it. That's my choice. Feel free to differ. Believe me, if you caught me on another day, anything could have been rearranged into a different order. And that's it for the last show of this year. What a year it's been. It's gone by in a flash, and I am just really, really honoured to have a small place in this magic world that I love so much. I'm thrilled with how this show has gone. I'm, amazed that that Monster is still going and that you are appreciating it. Anyway, it is the last show. I shall see you back in the new year. Grab some of your new magic from Christmas and go out and have a lot of fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye bye.